also when this topic came to me that if not MBBS then what, then I was always thinking that I could be one of the examples whereby I did my MBBS but did not pursue the typical medical journey is what I can say. Like a typical medical journey would have been doing an MD and MS and then practicing different medical branches. So I can say that I opted out of MBBS, and that's where I think it was a huge you can say a landscape that I was able to see, which is beyond MBBS. So that's and I think that sharing my own experience and the way so I'll just give you a small story, my story itself. Like actually obviously, like I did my medicine, but I did not want to pursue anything that is related to medicine in terms of like maybe the clinical branches, and that is why then I applied. I did my GRE, and then I applied for couple of great universities. In fact, I got through in one of the Ivy Leagues also, but unfortunately due to 2611 the visa got rejected. So when the visa got rejected, for me it was a very limited choice. Now already decided not to go back to medicine, and that's where the exploration for different post graduation started, and finally landed up in an MBA on an advice. But at that time I did not do my thorough homework is what I can say. I just talked to a couple of guys, and then I decided. So first things first, like since you are now, I guess that this session is basically for the wherever I'm going, if my track is going wrong or wherever my assumptions are wrong, Suniti, you can immediately pitch in. Okay, so I guess the audience is basically the class 11, 12 students, right? And primarily, let's understand what are the science graduations. Okay, so when we are saying about science graduations per se, the primary graduation, see, the hierarchy starts very simple. If it's not MBBS, then it starts from dentist. Okay, now in dentist, if someone lands up into dentist, obviously there is a dental clinical practice. Okay, when we talk about dental clinical practice, earlier it was all BDS, and now when it comes to MDS, there are huge amount of post graduations that are available now. Like we had not thought of any basically dental ortho when we were there. There was no specialty cosmetic dentistry when we pursued. Actually, I'm talking about in last 20 years what has evolved in terms of dentistry. So there are 4 to 5 different kinds of MDS, masters in dentistry, and that's a brilliant occupation. Why that is a brilliant occupation? If you really like clinical practice, it's a clinical practice. You can have your own clinic setup, or you can go and work in an hospital, right? So that's about dentistry. The second and this goes as per the merit. Like first the dentistry generally closes, and this has not changed for last 30 years, and these preferences are not because of the merit. These are also because these professions are rewarding, and these professions are also money churning. Okay, the second graduation after BDS by same merit or little bit less merit is generally a BAMS, Bachelor in Ayurvedic Medicine. Now see, Ayurveda, what I have seen typically in India, now Ayurveda again has BAMS, and then there is an MD. Now in BAMS, I can tell you very classical and real examples. The people who are today practicing real hardcore Ayurveda are doing exceedingly well. Ayurveda is one of the best graduations if you really have passion for medicine. The only problem is it takes time to settle, because what happens typically, suppose there are 50 Ayurveda students in who have done MBBS, only 4 or 5 pursue that as the only opportunity to practice. Why that happens? Because as soon as a BAMS passes out, it's also a 4.5 years plus 1 year internship course, he can practice allopathy in India. As a result, he can go and start a general practice, and then what happens with the general practice? He learns allopathy over the years with experience, practices that. But the problem is he will always have an upper ceiling, because he cannot become a master in any of the allopathic branches, because they are not allowed to. So his practice gets restricted to only general practice. So he will practice maybe as good as an MBBS practitioner. If he's really excellent, it's not necessary that every MBBS is successful. There are a lot of Ayurveda guys who did not get a MBBS seat, but they're brilliant practitioners, because practice is not only function of your education, it is function of your judgment about medicine, how you talk to patient, how comforting you are, and how, because if medicine as a branch is a continuously updating branch. So if you have read something 20 years back and today what is happening, if you are not in touch with that, then you may not grow. So that's very in brief about BMS. The next in branch is BHMS, Bachelor of Homeopathic Medicine. Even today, people who are practicing real homeopaths, they are also doing exceedingly well. In fact, I can tell you very clearly, if it comes to respiratory medicine, we are talking about medicine for lungs, homeopathy is way ahead of all other medicines. So what I'm trying to say here, you pursue any branch of medicine, you just stick to it, and if you love that branch and work with passion, you will definitely succeed. Because in BHMS, again, this BHMS will help you get into an MD for homeopathy. And see, homeopathy as a science was derived from Germany. So in Germany, even today, homeopathy is considered to be the best branch. They don't go to allopathy immediately. So try to understand, all of these branches are excellent branches to practice, be it in India, be it anywhere. And there are a lot of global careers around that. Like if you are a homeopath, you can go to Middle East and practice homeopathy, because in Middle East, a lot of people, they follow homeopathy. So it depends upon what branch you are picking. Now, parallelly, if we see this, in terms of merit, what is the graduation? So generally, if someone does not get MBBS and he is really passionate, he can land up into a B pharmacy. Okay. So see, primarily, there are 3 to 4 industries that will go about the industries that are going to give you an employment in future. We'll go into careers of all that when I'll go specific into that. So first is definitely pharmacy. So in pharmacy, the basic graduation is B pharmacy. Okay. Now B pharmacy, okay. How will the careers pan out? Again, the careers pan out depending upon what better college you get, but that is never a block. Many a times you may not get the best college, but you may land up into a better company, you get better experience, better exposure, and finally you will land up where you want to or what you deserve to. Like because see, it's ultimately what you land up in a corporate career or in a public career is about soft skills also, and not only the education that you pursue. So pharmacy is the next, then the biology branches start. So but generally when it comes to merit, pharmacy and dentistry, I'm talking about top college of pharmacy. Like example, suppose you are all in Maharashtra, then the top colleges in pharmacy can be the Bombay College of Pharmacy, the Pune College of Pharmacy, then the Indira College here in Pune, and there's one good college in Aurangabad, one good college in Nagpur. But if we take the national scenario, then there is a institute called as NIPER. You should always give, because they have their independent entrances. You should go a NIPER entrance. If you click NIPER, it's as good as clicking an IIT. As easy as that. So there are a lot of apex institutes in sciences which we students in Maharashtra don't pursue. There is an IISc which is based in Bangalore. IISc has its own entrances. So you should also think about those entrances. If you really want to pursue a career in sciences, IISc is one of the best. So IISc and NIPER are the apex institutes. Below them, then there are a lot of other national institutes who carry their own independent exams. So, hold on. Hello, sorry, I got lost somewhere. So, so let's come to BSc now. So when it comes to BSc, see, your career is not decided by graduation, except for pharmacy, when it comes to sciences. So let's go about the 3 basic graduations in sciences. The first graduation is always biology. The second one is chemistry, and third one is physics. Okay, just hold on. I think there is something that is opening. I just quit it. Okay, so the first, let's come to biology. Okay, so typically when it comes to biology, what's biology will then again have different branches. Okay, the basic biology is one branch. Then there may be zoology. Then there may be not microbiology. Basically, biology is the branch, and then there is zoology also. That is one branch, and I don't know anything else actually that comes
Botany,
with basic biology and botany. Yes. Now botany, you can become a plant, and nowadays see what is the career for botanists? They can do MSc botany. You need to understand environment as an area is the next big thing in India.
In fact, we just had that session on sustainability and environmental science.
Is going to be, because I'll tell you one example. All the manufacturing plants inside all urban cities are going out. Earlier, there used to be dumping of all waste that used to happen in sea, and that is why you could see that a lot of manufacturing chemical plants, pharmaceutical plants, they were at the seashore. Government, in fact, government of India and this government also, I'm not a great fan of Modi, but this government is very, very serious about environment. So through botany, that is another track that you can take. So MSc botany hai, PhD botany, and you can take that track, and it's huge. And it's not only about environment, because see, we'll come to those graduations also as we learn, because it's a broad area where botanists gets chosen. It's called as environment, health, and safety. In these three areas, these botanists are the preferred ones. Okay, so biology, there are some engineering courses also into that. Like for safety, there are a lot of engineering courses in safety also. But for health and environment, like these botanists, because when we are talking here, we are talking about plant health. We are talking about, because now there is pressure on government to create, like the carbon footprint is going to go very aggressive. So any new industry has to go through severe regulation in terms of getting it passed. In fact, even the real estate nowadays. So that's about the botany space. Then zoology and veterinary. These are very important, because you always know only veterinary as a person who will go and practice veterinary science and heal the animals. So he's the dog for pets. That's not the only application. So I'll go parallelly with this. Zoology, obviously, there's a lot of insectology as a branch that is developing. Lot of microbial and parasitic branches overlap, and they are used in researches. I'll give an example. See, any pharmaceutical drug, it has to be first tested in animals, right? Then only it can be tested in people. When it is getting tested in animals, there are two people who play the part. One is the zoologist, and the second portion is these veterinary doctors. Today, pharmacies, entire pharmacy is facing shortage of good veterinary doctors for research itself. And these studies are called as toxicology studies. We can go into details of this, but these are also called as animal studies or toxicology studies. And it's a huge area, because today India is becoming hub of entire drug research for entire world. So there are a lot of opportunities into this. In fact, I'll give an example. Now there are few impurities in drugs that can come up. Now these impurities to be tested in animals, again, it is a job of this toxicologist or a zoologist. Clear? So zoology as a branch can be again pursued as a BSc, as a MSc, and as a PhD. And obviously, see, all these careers will have finally one more landing, which will be a lecturership, which will be a professorship, and which can also be a research, because nowadays lot of research is happening in universities, in colleges, and in India is actually blessed with lot of international institutes of repute. When I'm talking about international institutes, we have got Indian Institute of Virology, then Indian Institute of Sciences, we have got Indian Institute of Molecular Biology, Indian Institute of Microbiology. Then there is a CDRI, Central Drug Research Institute. It's based out of Kasoli. So Government of India itself has got around at least 20 odd institutes of international repute who continuously churn scholars, who pursue their PhDs, who pursue their research, and there are a lot of projects that happen. And these are all fundamental research branches. When we say fundamental, we are talking about biology as a branch as a research, chemistry as a branch of research, and the zoology as a branch of research. Okay, so this is where now we'll go into detail, because biology and chemistry, I'm just keeping it aside because there are very huge applications to these two branches when it comes to two biggest industries which are employers, okay, which are biotechnology and pharmaceutical industry. These are the two largest employers for biology and chemistry graduates. Clear? So then let's go to what are the allied. So you do this BSc basic graduation. Now in post graduation is where you make and you start making differences. So in biology, if you do a MSc biology, and then so biology nowadays is not MSc biology only. There are various branches. There are branches like microbiology. So microbiology, what does it study? It studies all microbes. Basically, microbes is bacteria, yeast, parasites, all
Virus.
these branches. Understood? And then microbiology, then there is molecular biology or cell biology. What is cell biology? How a cell behaves. It's not necessary when it gets infected. How cells, because a human being is a continuously evolving animal. So cells are also a continuously learning. They're continuously learning over their life. So there are changes that are happening. Like I'll give you an example. Suppose there was one antibiotic that was working in some days back, some maybe 20 years back. Today it does not work. Why it is happening? That means the human cells have evolved. So there is cell biology. There is molecular biology. There's microbiology, and then there are there is synthetic biology. There are n number of branches again in biology. When it comes to chemistry, primarily the chemistry they have divided into three branches. One is synthetic chemistry, like we are trying to produce that chemical, not using it's a synthetic, it's artificial chemistry basically. Chemistry, and then there is inorganic chemistry. Okay, now organic and inorganic chemistry use basically the carbon compounds and their mixtures. Like I don't know much of details, but that's the basically post graduation that are there. Other than that, there's one more very interesting branch, that's analytical chemistry. These are the four primary fundamental branches, and all these four branches have evolved because these are the four primary branches that help in discovery of new chemical entities. Any new chemical entity gets discovered through these four branches, and there are three fundamental branches only. One is the synthetic chemistry, analytical chemistry, or synthetic, organic, and inorganic chemistry. The last branch is the analytical chemistry. Analytical chemistry does what? Whatever these guys are discovering, they are trying to prove it in lab. They do the analysis. If this drug is this much pure, this drug is right, this drug does not have this much impurity, blah blah blah. Clear? So biology and chemistry land up into, basically the biology lands up into biotechnology. We'll come into details. What are the careers in biotechnology? Chemistry lands up into pharmaceuticals. So then what are B pharmas doing in the chemistry? Okay, or what are the pharmacy graduates doing in chemistry? Okay, let's go into little bit more into pharmacy. So when we do pharmacy, then there is a M pharmacy, masters in pharmacy. So masters in pharmacy is again into different areas. One area, and these are all aligned to pharmaceutical industry because most of the pharmacy industry graduates, they will land up into pharmaceutical industry. But yes, there are different other industries also. I will come to that, which absorb pharmacy graduates. Okay, so let's go to the post graduations in pharmacy. Pharmaceutics is nothing but how that chemical will run into the body, how that drug gets absorbed, how it gets metabolized, how it gets excreted, etc. So pharmaceutics. Then there is also a branch called as pharmaceutical QA, quality assurance. Like basically people start specializing in how to maintain quality while manufacturing pharmaceutics. Pharmaceutical regulatory. Then there's also there are three, four more branches. Actually, I don't recollect them, but you can go and check M Pharmacy and the branches, and they can help you understand what they are doing. Ultimately, then these guys also go on to do their PhDs. So PhDs is nothing but they have to go into depth of whatever they have studied. They have to do a certain project which is actually not discovered, but it's not like absolutely new discovery, because then it can be a magic. So that doesn't happen at a PhD level. And in similar way, through chemistries, people end up into doing PhD into synthetic chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry. Then same time PhD molecular biology, microbiology, cell biology, and these kind of PhDs are there. Okay, so this is the spectrum in which the sciences as graduations get beyond, right? Veterinary also they can do. Okay, one more thing, veterinary guys will also be called as a doctor. Even if he is a BVSc, he is a doctor. MVSc is also doctor, and PhD is also doctor. While all these guys, when they earn a PhD, they are being called as doctors. There's one more course that's called as PharmD. It's not PhD, it's PharmD. So these guys also get something to be called as doctors. It's again nowadays I'll give you an example. There is an institute called as NMIMS. It gives you a 5-year integrated pharmacy graduation, which is a mix of pharmacy and management. And believe me, all the students gets placed in 3 days time. There are only 100 intake. It is supposed to be the best institute in Maharashtra because anyone who wants to pursue a career in pharmacy, he should straight away go to that college. Like that's the best college. So similar way, nowadays the curriculums are getting mixed. Okay.
So that's the Narsi Monji
yes, NMIMS got pharmacy 5-year course basically. So these kind of 5-year club courses are also now coming across different institutes. Okay, and all these are being done because that's demand of the industry. Now let's go back again a little bit, because we have understood veterinary, BMS, BHMS, everything. We'll go into pharmaceuticals and we'll go into biotechnology. Now there's one more very big area which is called the clinical development. Okay, now clinical development, what is a clinical development? Because this I have to explain you, so that if someone thinks that okay, I like clinic but I did not land up into a MBBS and I did not do. So see, what we are doing here is trying to get that prescription to market. Every pharma industry, biotech industry is trying to get that drug which is going to heal patients. If your objective to enter into medicine was to heal patients, then any of these careers you enter, you finally land up doing the same thing. What's more important when you choose a career is the purpose of the career. Yes, of course, all these careers will try to make money. And I'm telling you very honestly, it's not necessary that only MBBS and MDs make money. Because it's very, very important. A lot of our career decisions are driven by what money you're going to earn once you do this graduation, post-graduation. Many times, many jobs will land up you money very early, which is very high, but it's not the end. Ultimately, whatever money anyone earns in life is function of the skill sets. When I am saying skill sets, you pursue here, if you do that with passion, you will not land up the first job very easily, maybe. But if you are passionate about that job, you will land up with that job, and you will land up with, you will be one of the highest paid. Like I can give you an example. I see a lot of PhD doctors, like the guys who are working with PhD in pharmaceutical industry. Today their salaries are 3 crores, 4 crores. I don't think so a lot of MBBS and MD guys earn that kind of money. There are guys who are, I'm not talking about the CSOs, the chief scientific officers of these companies. So it's not necessary. Now these guys someday were also had done some BScs, MScs and BPharms only. So ultimately, the risk reward ratio depends upon what depth you are putting in your graduation and in your post graduation, and whether you are choosing what you like and what you love. So with that, let's figure out now what are the different industries, and then what are the different jobs that are available for these kind of graduations. Okay, so now these are different areas in which these are there. Hold on, I'll just tell you the industries. So biotechnology is the first industry. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see?
Not yet, Dr. Ganesh.
Oh, sorry. I'll just reshare this. That's a good question. I'll answer that till the screen share is operated. Okay. Sorry. Okay. You can see my screen?
It's coming up.
Yeah, very, very interesting question. So I'll just switch off the screen again. This is very important. There's one more branch that I missed. It's called as biomedical engineering. Okay, so it's a mix of biotechnology and engineering. Okay, like example, in pharma, if we do a drug and we do it at a pilot scale, we have to scale up. Scale up in the sense we have to do it in a larger vessel maybe. So that is an engineering job. Understood? Because it's the proof of concept is available at a lab stage, but we have to do it at a commercial stage. Okay. Similarly, for a biotech product also, whatever we have done in a lab, in a pilot scale, that has to go to a commercial scale. There engineering is required. So there is a branch. There are two branches actually. One is biotechnology. We have this BSc biotechnology, we have MSc biotechnology, we have PhD biotechnology. But again in biotechnology, there is biomedical engineering. There is one very important branch, bioinformatics. So what does bioinformatics do? As you know, the gene has been coded. So every drug product, ultimately what we do in a drug, in any disease, some part of gene is malfunctioning. So we identify that gene and we try to work on that gene so that we can correct that gene. Now this is nothing but gene is a single gene is, it's called a genetic library. So which library to attack, which point to attack, that is being decided by bioinformatics, because it requires a lot of computational chemistry, it requires a lot of computation. So bioinformatics is a separate branch that works on information that has to be attacked. Very, very simply. Okay. So, and
also, like while you are at this, one more thing that comes to my mind, because there are a lot of
just hold, there is one more hint. The university course of bioinformatics in Pune University is supposed to be one of the best in the world. There are only 20 seats and they go just like that. And there are now a lot of institutes that are putting up bioinformatics, but I'm just telling you this because even today it is pursued. So that the guys who have passed out this have left IIT and done that. So see, there are a lot of things. It's not, life is not only about engineering and IITs. It's about, there are a lot of excellent career options if you pursue the passion. Sorry, Parijat.
Yeah, no, I was just like adding on to this only that, say for example, there are many machines or equipments that are used in medical, like, or in hospitals, right? Like say X-ray machines, CT machines. So would there be like sort of bioengineers or like,
no, I'll tell you,
engineers, or these are like bioengineers who have to understand both sides?
Excellent. See, biomedical engineers do this work. But most of the times what happens, see all this instrumentation which is used in healthcare primarily is developed by engineering companies like Siemens and Philips and GEs of the world.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, these are mechanical engineers who are doing this. So most of the maintenance and all this portion goes to mechanical engineers. But nowadays there is a mix of software and engineering. And then there is a mix of, like, I'll give you an example. Now, biotech as a software area is also developing, where biotech, like we are talking about even pharmacists being preferred in IT industry as subject matter experts, because there is a combination that is happening. So good pharmacists, good biotechnologists, good microbiologists are taken away by, you see, all these IT companies which are now supporting these industries. They need subject matter experts from these graduations on.
Got it.
So I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to first the industry deck. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see that.
So see, there are these 5 different industries in which entire science is generally operating. Beyond this also there are industries. Like I have not taken here healthcare and hospitals. You see, healthcare and hospitals, then like an alternate courses, we'll take that as a short once I finish this. So biotechnology. So as I told you, in biotechnology, now these are the biotechnology areas. So biotechnology, it's not only about research. See, everything in a biotech company will be in 3 portions. One portion will be the research, one portion will be manufacturing, And then the next portion is distribution and marketing. So any of these graduations will always land you up a job in this. That's marketing and sales, managing that product, therapy management, training of different therapies, international business, and international sales. So any of these graduations in these two industries can land up into this job. But here, generally, if you do even a tier 2 MBA, see, a lot of people who want to do a graduation and want to join an industry as management people can do any of these graduations and can do an MBA. But today we are not talking about the jobs that you can fetch by doing an MBA. So this is R&D. When I'm saying R&D here, this is research and development jobs using pharmacy as a graduation or the chemistry as a graduation. So first is formulation development. What is formulation development? When we discover any chemical which has a medicinal property, converting that chemical into a tablet, a capsule, or an injection, how it has to be given, then how it will behave inside the body is an F&D. NCE is nothing but discovery of that medicine. NDDS, how that medicine has to be given into the body. These are all research areas. Pre-formulation, formulation, animal toxicity. How does that? So the first area and a very large area, I'll give you a proportion. Like suppose I'll give you an example of Lupin. So Lupin employs close to 20,000 people. Out of that 20,000 people, maybe 12,000 people are working in marketing and sales. 8,000 people are inside the company and they may be doing any of these jobs. R&D, there are around 2,500 people working in R&D. So can you understand how big this area is? I'm talking about one company. There are more than 5,000 pharmaceutical companies in India. In fact, after IT, pharmaceutical industry is largest employer in India. And it contributes actually second to IT as the highest proportion to the GDP. So what I'm trying to say here, there are numerous job opportunities in terms of if you have done a pharmacy graduation. So pharmacy and MSc or a PhD graduation in organic, inorganic chemistry would land you up here. Okay. Now the biology branches, the molecular biology, the microbiology, the biotechnology. If you want to do research and develop a drug using biotech processes, you'll land up here. You'll either learn to find a new biological entity, a new biotech drug. These are the areas. This upstream is nothing but fermentation. So here what they do in biotech, basically we are trying to do or manufacture a product using biotech process. And biotech process is nothing but upstream and downstream. Like nothing but you take that chemical, you multiply that chemical either in a mammalian cell or a micro or a viral cell or a bacterial cell. Then you harvest that cell and you segregate that chemical or that product, which is nothing but downstream. Cell culture is nothing but mixing that into different cells and ensuring that we can develop that repetitively in same quantities. Then we have to do analytical. These analytical branches are nothing but they try to test the drug in the lab. Clone development, then there are bioassays, plasma protein manufacturing, monoclonal antibody manufacturing. So, and all these areas. So when you do research, then next is manufacturing as an area. If you have done your pharmacy graduation, MSc graduation, you can land up into manufacturing this product. So what is difference between manufacturing and research? Here you're doing that product on a larger scale. Like for example, in lab, if we are doing some 100 tablets, when it goes to a manufacturing, you are doing maybe 1 lakh tablets one batch, or 2 lakh tablets batch, or a 10 lakh tablet batch. So it can be tablets, capsules, injections, pre-filled syringes, n number of technologies are there. So here you are working into manufacturing operation. MSAT is nothing but tech transfer area, production planning, capacity planning. So again, there's one more very important portion. One is that when we talk about manufacturing, we only think tablet, capsule and all. But there is also an industry called as API industry. API is nothing but active pharmaceutical ingredient. Like example, when we are talking about paracetamol tablet, paracetamol in that is the active pharmaceutical ingredient. So manufacturing of that chemical is called as API industry. Then there are these different formulations. Formulations matlab these are in the form in which we are taking that drug. The next area, which is very large area, like when I talk about 2000 pharmaceutical people, there are 1000 people who are working in Q&A and analytical. So this is nothing but people who are assuring that quality. So they're testing this product at every stage of production and even when the product is going into market. So this is the quality and analytical area. The next area is regulatory affairs. So when we are exporting, like India is an export house for like in terms of volume, India manufactures 70% of drugs of the world. Isn't that very interesting? Isn't that matter of pride? So while we are doing this, that means 70% of drug that is manufactured in India is being supplied to all these countries, around 180 countries. But every country will have its rules of regulations according to quality standards. So these are different rules and regulations. US FDA is for US, EMEA is for EU, ANVISA is for South Africa, Japan PMDA. So we have to study their rules and regulations, and that is very interesting. And then manufacture a drug here in India to be supplied to those countries. So this itself is again an area where around 500 people get employed in every pharmaceutical industry.
So essentially, like here, like I think same drug might have some variation because maybe Japan accepts something differently in comparison to say Europe.
Exactly. Like because see, like US is the most stringent, but to make the most stringent and most purest drug, the cost is also very high. But let's take an African country. African country would need medicine because these guys are poor. They would need medicine.
But they cannot afford that price.
They cannot afford. Like I'll tell you an example. Now paracetamol or crocin that we take in India, which costs maybe 1 rupee tablet. The same tablet, it's called a Tylenol in US. That comes at around it's 10 cents or 15 cents. So that's 9 rupees. So why is that difference? That difference is because to maintain that kind of a quality, you have to maintain that kind of a plant, you have to maintain that kind of quality standard. The input material has to be like that. So that's a different story. But what I mean to say, only learning about these regulations, because US FDA, it's like a Bible. Every year the regulations change. So you have to continuously learn that and apply that in this industry.
So will this require like understanding of legal aspects? So would a lawyer be required here, or these are still like more pharmacy or chemical?
There are two areas. No, a normal B Pharmacy graduate or an MSc, like because see, this regulatory affairs is applicable to API industry. In API industry, all the chemists, the organic, synthetic, and these guys get absorbed here. While formulation is a portion of pharmacy graduates. So now both these guys, now suppose he's an MSc, he has to study the regulations for APIs for these countries. If he's a pharmacy graduate, he has to study regulations for these countries. And there is a special area called as IP. IP is intellectual property. So once you do your BSc, or you can also, I don't know whether there is a graduation in IP. IP is nothing but patents. Like we study, like see, whatever you discover in the world, it has to be protected. And there are different bodies in which you have to send that application. There is a WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. There is USPTO, EUPTO. So this is nothing but those countries will recognize your drug, your molecule as the first discovery. And then no one else can copy it. So protection of our discovery is the work that is done by an IP department. So and then secondly, it's also a case like suppose I am discovering one drug, whether I am infringing someone's IP, that I don't know. Maybe two people can discover the same drug in two different parts of the world, right? But while doing that, have they crossed any IP? Because if you use someone else's IP even inadvertently, then the drug will not qualify as a new entity. Understood? So there is a very strong IP department. All these pharma companies will have an IT department of around 50 people who will work on that. And now there are two portions to this. One, IP who will try to understand this non-infringement, but IP can do a law and they can practice, because see, all these IPs get challenged in court of law. So there you have to become a lawyer to practice IP in the
Got it.
court of law. Why I'm telling you this area? It's now clinical development. We are talking about discovery of a molecule. This has become the second largest industry today. Even it is bigger than the biotechnology industry today, because all the world wants to get their drug discovery here, because our patient population is highest. So they want to test drugs here in India. Now, except for making the clinical trial protocol, rest all branches accept graduations from pharmacy, sciences, biotechnology, anything. And this is one of the largest employers today. And it's one of the best desk jobs that you can have, because a lot of people want to do desk jobs. So clinical data management, it's huge in India. Top 10 world companies come out of India today in terms of clinical data management. Biostatistics, yes, this is one more graduation, like BSc statistics, MSc statistics, PhD statistics. It's a huge area and in huge demand. Medical writing, see, whatever gets discovered has to be written in proper scientific language. It has to be proofread, because everything goes into publications. That's a huge area that you can practice. Then SAS programming. SAS programming is nothing but everything across the world today happens in medical softwares. So these softwares need coders who comes from science backgrounds. So there's a lot of IT that is evolving in medical and in pharma.
So there will be like computer science and bio or pharma
yes.
understanding.
Yes, anyone who has done a BSc, he can do an master's in computer sciences and enter into this area. Pharmacovigilance. This is a huge area again, because in pharmacovigilance is nothing but drug safety. Any drug that is sold in the market, if it has some adverse event, that has to be reported so that that drug can be stopped. So every country, every place, there are people that are continuously monitoring every drug that is getting sold. It's a huge area. Regulatory writing, whatever you are writing to be submitted to these agencies, it has to come into the regulatory agent. It has to come into some standard formats. So these are huge. So clinical is another area, and I'm not talking, when I'm saying clinical, it's not doctors, okay, non-doctors. Now, other than that,
here the doctors can also get employed here in the clinical research. Then
in clinical research, doctors can see, the top doctors are all MD pharmacologists and MBBS, but there are so less doctors, they cannot do the job. So lot of Ayurveda doctors, lot of BHMS doctors, lot of veterinary doctors. In fact, today in clinical research, a lot of dentists are working in clinical research only, because it is a very high paying job. It's a very high paying job. For dentists, if he does a practice, he may earn 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees. But anyone who is working in clinical development, suppose 10 years, he may be drawing a CTC of 60 lakh rupees, 70 lakh rupees, 80 lakh rupees. So, and the career can go to head. So heads will draw 1 crore, 1.5 crore, any kind of salaries. Understood? So that is one area. Now let's come to nursing. So when it comes to hospitals and staff, there are two areas. One is this nursing area, and then there is technology staff. Okay. Largest amount of staff goes into laboratory. So for laboratory, people do this 10+2, they do a DMLT. Then they do a BSc DMLT, and then there is an MSc DMLT. All these people, because see, today lab diagnostics is again in India, like you can go in every nookad and you'll find a lab. Right? All these guys require these people only. Okay, so laboratory technology is an area that it's a good.
So essentially, they will become a lab technician.
Yes, lab tech. There's very important two more areas. One is called as radiotherapy, and it's a specialty area. So a lot of people, they have this 12th pass and they can do a radiotherapy graduation. What the radiotherapy does? Suppose you go to any radiology center, there are guys who take the scans.
X-ray, CT scan, MRI scan.
CT scan, MRI scan, sonography. They don't do sonography, but X-ray, CT and MRI. So X-ray technician is another good area, and they get paid well. Like see, because we have our own institute, so there we are paying anything between 40 to 50,000 for a guy who is just 2 years experience. Understood? So it's not like life ends with if you are not doing an MBBS.
Not getting into MBBS, then
it doesn't end. It doesn't end, and there is nothing, and it's not very disappointing, or it's not very. It's about how passionately you are doing what you want to work. So these, and there is one more area. Yes, forensics. It's very interesting area to me. So yes, forensic technology, and one more area that I missed that is very close to my heart is psychology. Don't miss psychology as a graduation, because today uh, psychiatry is different. Psychiatry got very limited seats, because psychiatry, like people do MBBS and then they do psychiatry. Okay, psychiatros is nothing but treating a patient. But today in India, right from the stress, anxiety, all these are not diseases. These are problems. These require huge amount of counseling, right from child psychology to tantrums to expectations to everything. So psychology as an area is a huge area that is going to evolve in next 20 years, not only in India, across the world. So BSc psychology, MSc psychology, PhD psychology, and psychology is also being used because nowadays a lot of organizations are hiring psychologists. So in fact, if you want to do an HR graduation, psychology is the best area to study as a graduation. And last is forensic medicine. So in forensic medicine, you can go, see there are two variants to this. When we talk about forensics, a lot of people only think forensic medicine as a branch that goes and जो पोस्टमार्टम डॉक्टर करता है ना उसके आजू बाजू में काम करता है. No, it's a branch that works with a doctor not only to find out who is the crime and culprit, but there's a lot of digital forensics that has evolved, and it's a huge branch. When we are talking about digital forensics, I'll give you an example. Like today, a lot of MRIs are getting diagnosed by the machine itself, and there's a lot of software going into that. So doctor doesn't have to read an MRI to come out with the primary conclusion. Machine does that. Same way in forensics, when these digital libraries of all fingerprints will go up, when the digital libraries for DNAs will go up, digital forensics will go up in next 10 years time. So if someone gets a chance to go into forensics and digital forensics, it's going to be, I'm talking about, these are going to be the cream branches for future. Psychology, forensics, these, and believe me, one day psychologists will be paid more than a doctor. I can guarantee you that. After any of these graduations, entire industries open up to you, like because it's not only you get restricted only to pharma industry and biotech industry. Lot of because see, anyone who has done a B pharmacy or an MSc and done his MBA, lot of IT companies want to absorb them as subject matter experts or domain experts. And because see, IT today, I can say if engineers are the number one who get hired in IT, at least 20% of IT today belongs to people who are coming from science backgrounds only. 20-25% of IT. So it's not the reverse way around, like IT and engineering guys, it's very difficult for them to enter into our industry, but the reverse way, it's more possible. So if you really aspire for that kind of jobs, you can definitely think of it. There was one question that just came up. It was about forensics. So as I told you, like see, forensics is an evolving branch. So obviously, like there's a lot of work that happens in medical, because there are some institutes of forensics also where there's a lot of research that is happening. Very honestly, pharmaceutical and biotech industry does not have any jobs in forensics because they don't need any forensics. But the healthcare, they do need forensics, and government, basically, very honestly, government is the one who will absorb maximum forensics. That's for sure. But there are lot of now, I'll give an example. There are investigative agencies. Like suppose CID है. एक आपको तो इंडिया में तो CID सबको पता है, right? But investigative agencies, even there are forensic experts who work as consultants for a lot of the police fraction. Okay, so they are external consultants. They go and work. So whenever there are some high-profile cases, they are being taken. I'll give you an example. I know one of my friend who is not a computer graduate or anything, but he's a forensic expert for computer sciences. Like computer sciences, when I'm saying, like I'll give you an example. Suppose something happens, and you have to prove that that email emerged from that computer. Now this is forensic. This has to be proven in digital manner. So there is where there's a lot of traction that is coming, and this cybercrime is going to go high. That's for sure. Definitely every cybercrime to be proven requires forensics.